abundant favor, us thy servant whom thou hast been pleased to call to the performance of important trust in this land. Let thy blessing descend upon us here in this house assembled. Grant us that we may treat and consider all matters that shall come under our deliberation in so just and faithful a manner, to promote thy honor and glory, to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of this country and of those whose interest thou hast committed to our church. Amen.
Correction and approval of records of votes and proceedings of the National Assembly sitting of Wednesday, 15th March 2023.
Honorable members, the record of votes and proceedings of the National Assembly sitting of Wednesday, 15 March 2023 is before us for correction and approval. Can any honorable member please move that the said record of votes and proceedings be considered and approved? Member for Tumanna.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the opportunity. I rise to move the motion for the correction and approval of records of votes and proceedings of the National Assembly sittings of Wednesday, 15 March 2023. Thank you.
Member for Lower Salu.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I rise to second the motion.
It has been moved and seconded that the record of votes and proceedings of the National Assembly sitting of Wednesday, 15 March 2023 be approved. Any corrections or observation? We will begin with the corrections by looking at page by page. Now on page 1. If any honorable member have any observation or correction to make, may do so. On page 1, in the absence of any, can we move to page 2? On this page, page 1. Can we go back to page 1? The assembly convened 54 minutes. It's, you know, have you seen 54 minutes? It should be 54 minutes after 10 o'clock. The after is missing. That's on page 1. Page 2. Any observation or proposal for amendment on page 2? There are none. Can we move to page 3? Member for Tumanna.
Yes, just to make clarification, I am on page 1, prayers number 1, number 2, and number 3. Then the list of the ministers who were here yesterday, I'm thinking that maybe that of the petroleum minister should not be included because he was not here. I don't know.
No. It's correct. Like this.
The standing order 36 and 41 question oral by the following. Yes, that's correct. That's correct. Page 4. The member for Foni Bondale.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Page 4, Kirkson 087. It was read by the Honorable Member for Fonyi Councillor, not Fonyi Bintang Karanai, and was read on his behalf. It should be on her behalf.
Question number what?
087, page 4.
Page 4.
Yes.
The first item on page 4. That's question number 087.
Yeah.
By the Honorable Member for Fonyi Brefet.
Yeah.
Was asked on his behalf by the Honorable Member for Fonyi.
Councillor.
It should be Fonyi Councillor, not Fonyi Bintang Karanai.
And the same thing.
On page 5.
No, still on the same page. Page 4. 088, the same thing. It should be was read on her behalf and then by the Honorable Member for Fonyi Councillor, not Fonyi Bintang Karanai.
Have you noted down his concerns? That is question number 087. Instead of the member for Fonyi Brefet, it should read member for Fonyi Councillor, and was asked on her behalf, not on his behalf. Same should apply to question number 088. Same amendment. Thank you. Page 5. Member for Sabah Sanjal. On page 5.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. The last line down, at 24 minutes after 1 o'clock in the afternoon, the Assembly was adjourned until Thursday, 16 March. It should be 2023, not 2022. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Member. On page 5, below the line, at 24 minutes after 1 o'clock in the afternoon, the Assembly was adjourned until Thursday, 16 March 2023, instead of 2022. Any order? The member for Fonyi Councillor.
I don't know whether I'm not seeing clearly. For consistency purposes, let's look at question number 044/2023.
Which page?
The 5th page. Then the rest will read as 2022, 2022, 2022.
Honorable Member?
Yes, page 5.
You said page 5.
The last question, question number 044/2023. Then when you look at the rest of the questions, 0257, 0256, 0255, 0254, and 0253 are all 2022. I don't know.
Yes, some of those questions were submitted. Can you please put off your mic? They were submitted in 2022. If your question is submitted 2022, and for whatever reason it wasn't asked and answered in 2022 and answered in 2023, it will still be considered to be 2022 question. Thank you. Any further? Any other more? I think that's it. It has been moved and seconded that the record of votes and proceeding of the National Assembly sitting of Wednesday, 15 March 2023 be approved. I have to take it again. It has been moved and seconded that the record of votes and proceeding of the National Assembly sitting of Wednesday, 15 March 2023 be approved with amendment. Those in favor, please say aye. Those not in favor, please say no. The ayes have it. Clerk, you may proceed. Honorable members, before us today is the Honorable Minister for Fisheries and Water Resources, who will be tabling two motions, which the opinions are interrelated. And on that note, I would want us to consolidate the two motions for them to be moved at once so that we can debate on them simultaneously. That's my proposal. I'm not sure if that is the consensus from the honorable members. Can we do that, honorable members? All right. Clark. Thank you.
Motions. Be it resolved that this August Assembly do consider and ratify the Convention on the Law of Non-Navigable Uses of International Watercourses, 1997 Watercourses Convention, by the Honorable Minister for Fisheries and Water Resources. 2. Be it resolved that this August Assembly do consider and ratify the Convention on the Protection and Use of Transboundary Watercourses and International Lakes, done in Helsinki on the 17th March 1992 by the Honorable Minister for Fisheries and Water Resources.
Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable members, like the Speaker said, my request is that we consolidate both conventions, since the two conventions share substantive norms. The reason is that to equitably and reasonably utilization of watercourses, take all appropriate measures not to cause significant harm to another state, protect ecosystem of an international watercourse, etc. Mr. Speaker, I would want to move that be it resolved that this August Assembly do consider and ratify the Convention on the Law of Non-Navigational Uses of International Watercourses, which was signed in 1997 by the Honorable Minister of Fisheries and Water Resources, and also to ratify the Convention on the Protection and the Use of Transboundary Watercourses and International Lakes, done at Helsinki on the 17th of March 1992 by the Minister of Fisheries and Water Resources. Honorable Mr. Speaker, honorable members, I want to call your attention to the fact that at its first meeting of January 2022, Cabinet approved the following water conventions to be presented before this August body for ratification. And they are, as I read before, the above conventions cover international surface or underground freshwater courses shared by two or more states and serve as mechanism to strengthen international cooperation. The conventions embody a number of principles on equitable and reasonable utilization and obligation not to cause significant harm, the general obligation to cooperate, regular exchange of data and information, notification and response relating to planned measures, protection and preservation of ecosystem, prevent, reduce and control pollution, introduction of alien or new species and protection and preservation of the aquatic environment. Benefits derived from the two conventions. Accession to the Water Convention would demonstrate the Gambia's willingness to cooperate on the basis of transboundary norms and standards. The country would automatically earn recognition of all actors in the international community for adhering to certain rules and standards. 2. Accession to the 1992 Water Convention would allow the Gambia the opportunity to ease suffering from frequent flash and riverine floods or droughts by tapping assistance of the convention programs relating to the adaptation to climate change or on transboundary flood management, as well as activities on dam safety and the water, food, energy ecosystem nexus. 3. 1992 and 1997 water conventions would allow the Gambia to access support from the convention in establishing such agreements and bodies or strengthening existing ones. 4. The implementation of obligations, especially the obligation aimed at prevention, control, and reduction of significant transboundary impact, is crucial for the Gambia as downstream riparian state with respect to its prominent transboundary basin, the River Gambia Basin. 5. Parties to the 1992 Water Convention may benefit from the use of Convention Trust Fund, which provides for technical support to parties, particularly to promote and implement the Convention through studies and pilot projects, as well as for support to participation of experts in workshops and training organized within the framework of the convention. The consensus was that the Gambia needs to ratify the international conventions. 6. The two water conventions are in line with the Constitution of the Gambia at Section 2154D, protecting the environment of the nation for prosperity, at Section 2164. The states shall endeavor to facilitate equal access to clean and safe water, adequate health and medical services, habitable shelter, sufficient food and security to all persons. Water Convention supports aspiration of the validated Supplementary Agriculture and Natural Resources Policy 2017 to 2026, which calls for regional cooperation in sustainable management of the shared water resources. It also emphasizes the need to expedite the water sector reform with a draft Gambia Water Bill that would enhance effective water policy implementation to minimize water conflict and promote cooperation among the various users and uses. 8. The principles of the two conventions support the Gambia's obligation as a party to the convention on the elimination of all forms of discrimination against women, CEDAW 1979, which the Gambia ratified in 1993. 9. To end it all, the Gambia is once again being reminded of her national commitment to upcoming water conference as part of the water action agenda for the coming water conference slated for this March in New York, which I'll be attending together with a member of the Select Committee of the National Assembly for Environment and Water Resources. Mr. Speaker, with these justifications, I beg to move.
Any seconder? The member for Cantora and Majority Leader.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the floor. Honorable Speaker, I rise to second the motion being moved by the Honorable Minister for Fisheries and Water Resources. Honorable Speaker, before us here lies two conventions. A convention on law of non-navigable use of water courses, and also a convention on, do you call them international waters or transboundary waters? These are words that are interused, but they mean the same thing. Transboundary water courses of international lakes and even underground waters as well. As a nation, Gambia seeks to benefit a lot when we ratify this convention, putting into account we are endowed and blessed with a natural resource that is the ocean, which is part and parcel of international waters or water boundary. Honorable Speaker, with the emergence of offshore exploration, there are a series of offshore activities now happening in terms of area of gas exploration, crude oil exploration. I think Gambia as a country, time has come for us to look at these things to make sure we are somewhat protected by the exercise or activities at offshore level. Not only that, the challenge of the current global arena is issue of climate change. And climate change is not only rainfall patterns, but of course, the erosion, the drainages that we normally found very uncommon or unusual to our environment are the result of misuse or abuse of water resources. So I think as a country, we will be in the right direction in terms of ratifying this convention so that we can bargain, so that we can also put our mouth where the cake is, so that we can have our full respect and full share. And also, not only that, in terms of membership also, there are certain contributions that membership does at the level of the convention that if we are in crisis, they could use those opportunities to come to our aid. If you look at Article 1 on the Convention on Protection of and Use of the Transboundary Waters, it says that transboundary water means any surface or groundwater which mark across or located at the boundary between two or more states. Wherever transboundary waters flow directly into the area or sea, the boundary waters at the end of the straits line across the respective mouth between two on the low water line of the banks. Unless a landlocked state, this will not really apply in a country that's landlocked. But a country that is almost open to an ocean, I think we have every reason why for us to have a proper laws in place, proper convention in place. So in case, if a country A is exploring their water, be it hydroelectric exploration, like a dam project, but in the course of exploring those hydroelectric activities in the waters, are also causing harm, though it's in the best interest of the country to power their country, but in the process, there are no significant measures that are put in place to make sure that the effect is not triggered on the other side. So the state B can always take up this opportunity that I think your exploration is really causing harm to our environment, and I will seek for redress. So basically, these are things that we need to know as a parliament, that is in the best interest of the country, is also in the best interest of our state. So basically, also I found this particular part very interesting. That is issue of prevention and controls and reduction on page 4. That is Article 3. So there are a series of preventive mechanisms that both states has to come into agreement, whereby the issue of emission of pollution is prevented and control of the use of water applications in the inter alia low and non-waste technology. The issue of waste, the issue of also, now we have seen the proliferation of plastic bottles or plastic waste that are being dumped in the sea. And this has been a concern for the environmentalists who have been crying every day that human activity, human nature toward natural resources is really uncalled for. And these are issues that we will put in place to make sure that we try to mitigate this nonchalant attitude, this I don't care attitude of human interaction with nature, to preserve this planet for generations yet unborn. It's important that when we are leaving this planet or departing, we add more value than to leave it deteriorated for generations yet unborn. So these are right move in the right direction. I so much appreciate the Article 3 in terms of prevention and control of pollution in our environment. And of course, Article 4 about the monitoring aspect. How do we monitor? It's not about only one state. both states can also monitor the activities within their boundary. And interesting part of it is that there is that high degree of sharing information. But of course, there is issue of secrecy in terms of give what you give. But there is high degree of exchanging best practices, exchanging best information, and what really happened in your level and at the level of bilateral and multilateral cooperation level. So without wasting more time, I want to give my full support and of course avail on the other members to support this convention. Thank you so much for indulgence.
Thank you very much, Member for Control and Majority Leader. It has been moved and seconded that this Honorable Assembly do consider the following convention. Convention on the Law of the Non-Navigational Uses of International Watercourses, 1997 Watercourses Convention, and the Convention on the Protection and Use of Transboundary Watercourses and international lakes done in Helsinki on 17 March 1992. Those in favor, please say aye. Those not in favor, please say no. The ayes have it. Any honorable member who wishes to take part in the deliberation may do so now by show of constituency tab. The member for Combo South.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I want to thank the Honorable Minister for Fisheries, Water Resources to lay this important document, and I think it's very timely and very apt. As somebody who comes from the west coast of the Gambia, the coastal line, the only constituency in the Gambia with 5 major fish landing sites, 2 lakes, and also those streams that are there. And the activities of sand mining in our area is alarming and is causing a lot of damage to the ecosystems and also the flora and fauna in our area. I think this convention is very timely and it is going to help us. Transboundary water resources is just like transhuman resources that is becoming a problem in the West Africa region. And I think for most of the West African countries, we have these transboundary water lines. And for us in the Gambia, we have the Atlantic Ocean and we have the River Gambia that flows across to the Fouta Djallon Highlands. Honorable Speaker, I think this convention is very timely, and as I said, it's important that we as Gambians, we know the importance of these water flows that we have in our country. Landlocked countries are struggling to get some of these access to these things. So that's why you have countries like Burkina Faso, Niger, and Mali coming all the way to the Gambia to get these resources that are helping them to reshape their countries and enable them to help situate themselves to improve the economic values and also the environment. And I think this is very key. The fundamental thing in this is to ensure that whatever we are doing has to be in line with the Constitution of the Republic of the Gambia. And that is clearly stated, the protection of the environment and ensuring that we do development programs that is going to help the people to ensure the natural resources that they are endowed with are more protected and done. Honorable Speaker, one important thing that your ministry need to look at is the issue of information sharing and also data management in this country. Still, people don't know the importance of these lakes and rivers and also the Atlantic Ocean. And they are not making best use of them to enable them to have the resources that will help them to uplift their economic status and also improve their values and their position in the region where they are. So I think the Gambia, it is about time we have a list of all these lakes that we have in country and also the River Gambia and the tributaries that are linking to the Atlantic Ocean that will help us in this thing. So this one is very clearly stated in the convention. I think that needs to be done. Honorable Speaker, when it comes to the issue of monitoring, the Ministry of Fisheries and Water Resources need to improve on that. Our committee had just gone over to all the fish landing sites in this country. The issue of monitoring at those fish landing sites is becoming a problem. And some of the key things that they have been saying is the lack of the limited number of human resources and the capital incentive nets of the equipment that they have to enable them to do more surveillance in the areas to protect the aquaculture and all those other things is becoming a problem. So I think this is very key, and it's going to link us to other international bodies that will be able to do and help us in forming out and coming out with a strategy that is going to help us. So I think, Honorable Minister, your ministry need to do a lot of feasibility studies. And these feasibility studies, I keep on saying this thing, we need to ensure that we tap the resources, the knowledge, and also the experience of our local people in the areas where they are. Local content is very key in these things, so that will help them to save up, and the outcome of those feasibility studies will help us in shaping out and coming up with a strategy that will help us to be able to benefit from signing this convention and be part of a process which is going to help all of us. If you look at the bilateral and multilateral cooperation, which is talking of multifaceted development programs that you are going to partner it. So we need to be able to look at the strengths, weaknesses, and use the opportunities that we have to help us to move further and also benefit, because that's the only way we can do those things. And it is very imperative and important that whatever we are doing, we need to do a SWOT analysis at the level of the ministry and also at the level of the communities, so that we are able to gather better information that will inform us in our planning session. Honorable Speaker, I think, having said that, the other convention that looks at the law of non-navigable and international water courses, for us, the Gambia River is one of the most navigable rivers in this part of West Africa, and I think we need to work on that very closely. We have put a question to the Minister of the Minister of Tourism and Culture, and the last time he's saying that the Gambian River is not navigable because the last study was done 40 years ago. They are going to look at the issue of how navigable the Gambia River can be, so that it can be used for other tourism purposes, and not only tourism, but agricultural development and fisheries. And it is also important for your institution, the ministry, to come out with a water bill. In the 5th legislature, this is something that we have been following up with the former Minister of Fisheries and Water Resources. And this bill is being said several times, and you have just mentioned it in your deliberations. So I think we are almost 1/4 way of 2023. We need to ensure that as we deliberate and also sign this and ratify this convention, we need to have a water bill in place that will help us to be able to manage. If you go to this, the expansion of this construction that is going, every 25 meters you have boreholes all over. How do we collate all those things and ensure that proper management is done to keep the underground water in such a way that will enable us to sustain? Because water is being, there is sort of water in all the countries, most of the countries. The Gambia, we are endowed, our water level is still very high, not as other countries where you have to go 45 meters deep before you can reach the aquaculture to enable you to have water sources. So I think, Honorable Minister, Honorable Speaker, I want to thank the Honorable Minister for coming up with these two conventions, and it is timely for the Gambia as a nation. Looking at our situation on the west coast of Africa, we have the two most important natural endowments, that is the Atlantic Ocean and the river. So this will go a long way in shaping the way for us to be able to situate ourselves and help the improvement of our economic status, and also dealing with the most vulnerable members of our committee. Honorable Speaker, I take my seat.
Thank you very much, Honorable Member for Combo South. I now give the floor to the member for Brikama North and Minority Leader.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I want to join my colleagues to thank the Minister for bringing this important conventions. As the previous speakers rightly alluded, these are long overdue. The first one, that is the Convention on the Law of the Non-Navigational Uses of International Watercourses, adopted by the General Assembly of the United Nations way back in 20 way back in 21st May 1997. That was the day when the Gambia signed to it. That will be precisely more than 25 years. And then the second one, the Convention on the Protection and the Use of Transboundary Watercourses and International Lakes, which was signed in Helsinki, 17 March 1992. That is more than 30 years. If that was actually that we were also signatory to, that if member says it's long overdue that we should be ratifying these conventions, indeed they are absolutely right. It is one thing to sign conventions, and ratification is another. And that will lead us to domestication. If we make a commitment to sign, I think we should go further to commit ourselves to ratify so that we can do the domestication as entailed in the importance of the document, which the minister highlighted the significance of signing or ratifying these documents, and also by the honorable members who spoke before me. The Article 5 of the Convention on the Protection and the Use of Transboundary Watercourses and International Lakes states, research and development. The parties shall cooperate in the conduct of research into development of effective techniques for the prevention, control, and reduction and transboundary impact. To this effect, the parties shall, on bilateral and multilateral basis, taking into account research activities pursued in relevant international forums, endeavor to initiate or identify specific research programs where necessary, aimed inter alia at. This is very, very important. That means even whereas we are signatory to the convention, and if we have not ratified, will not be benefiting, especially in this aspect where we need that bilateral and multilateral cooperation in terms of development, effective techniques, and the prevention and control of the impact of transboundary. That alone suffices that we should not hesitate to ratify this convention, alongside with the constraints and problems that we are facing as far as our coastlines are concerned, that are seriously under threat if the measures are not put to make sure we preserve and control our waterways. We cannot do it in isolation. We can only do it effectively when we join hands with the international bodies. And the only way that we can do so is to sign the conventions. And if we sign and then ratify that, so that we can be part and parcel of implementation of those international laws. Honorable members, as I said, and as other members said before me, this convention ratification is long overdue. And I also add my voice to other members that I urge my colleagues to ratify these two conventions. On that note, I thank you, Honorable Minister.
Thank you, Honorable Member. I now recognize the member for Fonyi Councillor.
Thank you very much, Speaker. I thank the Minister of Fisheries for availing us this ratification of these two conventions, which I believe that is the non-navigable use of international water, and also the Convention on the Protection and Use of Transboundary Waters for an international lakes. Honorable Speaker, it is indeed in the right direction for conventions to be ratified in order for us to avail ourselves in the international arena. By going through part of this convention, we will be able to agree that there are progression in terms of articles that we think will make difference to our borderlines. First, in the transboundary water, when you go to page 5, Article 4, monitoring. In order for us to be par with international communities or conventions, monitoring is one of the key elements in making sure it will not only be a convention that is signed, but it will be a convention that will change the narratives of our water source, ranging part, combining it with Article 5, the research aspect. I adore and also put this to the Minister of Works, that will heavily do better in terms of if there is no department within his purview of research and development or monitoring, let him think along that line where it will avail and see, and they will take ownership of whatever performance within the borderline of the water source and also the ecosystem. It will do well if such things are also articulated. Sometimes you see our navals within the borderline, surveillance, the technological aspect is lacking. How would they be able to at least control the narrative within our borderline? Sometimes it's a problem. So I believe they work equally in that end to see a possible gains in those areas. Now also the other thing is when we go to the international water source, Article 7, obligation not to cause significant harm. I think these are all measures that I think is progressive, and it will also better us in terms of key, gains. And Article 18 also, it says procedures in the absence of notification. I think this is also very quite important. If I can read one line, it says, if a watercourse state has reasonably grounded to believe that another watercourse state is planning measures that may have a significant adverse effect upon it, the former state may request later to apply the provision of Article 12. The request shall be accompanied by the document explaining the setting forth in the ground. So it means whatever is going to happen within the borderline or within the seesaw, there must be proper checks and balances. So I believe it is high time we engage. And I also want to put this to the minister, how far in the area of technological approach as per the ministry in terms of surveillance, in terms of data protection, in terms of making sure they take ownership of our boundaries. Because these are key things that are very important, without which, we will sign conventions. If there are no protective measures in issues, it becomes a problem. So I believe if there is, we want to hear improvement aspects of it to see that we take ownership of our boundaries and also the protective aspects of our seashore, in which tomorrow we will not be overshadowed by well-established countries where they can intrude into our water boundaries, and they do a lot of ill things that would not even help us. If we are not equipped with those things, I think we will be funnily enough into these conventions without putting proper measures. I think we are in an era of technology, and technology is core in this convention. So therefore, thank you very much, and I rest my case. Assalamu alaikum.
Thank you, Honorable Member. I now call on the member for Brikama South to take the floor.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. First, may I seize this opportunity to thank the Honorable Minister for Fisheries and Water Resources for taking this bold decision to bring these two documents for ratification. Because if you look at the time in which they were signed and the time he's bringing it, there is a huge disparity, 26 and 31 respectively. I think already the commitment is there, but you must be very much ready first, after the ratification, to work on the domestication aspect of it, which is very key. Especially with the first one, the Convention on the Protection and the Use of Transboundary Water Resources and International Lakes. I think this is very, very important. As it was alluded by my previous speakers before me, where they laid emphasis on certain areas. The resources are many, and the Gambia, if you look at the trend in which we are going, especially in the drilling industry, I think there was, Far Gambia is on drilling, and British Petroleum came in, they left. So there are a lot of interests that are coming in a form of block to drill oil in the country. And for us, we are very fortunate to have the Atlantic Ocean that also stretches up to our sister country. So this issue, protection, is very, very important here. So we have to seriously work on the domestication aspect of it. I know even by land, by water, we are we are neighbored with our sister countries. So there are a lot of issues going on. I think this one is highly welcome, and we really thank you. With regards to the Convention of Law of Navigable aspect of it, this is very important. We have our whole River Gambia here that is navigable from the end to the tail to the end. And I think you will also be motivated to engage your counterpart minister if you can encourage and bring in water transportation to avoid the congestion in these tar roads. I think that would really help a lot. Like, it will also connect our various cities along the river bank. So this is very, very important, which we like. But one thing that I want to emphasize, that is the issue of the water policy and the water bill, especially in the domestication aspect. Like alluded to by the Combo South MP, there are a lot of boreholes that are coming indiscriminately. And in fact, some of these boreholes that are dug in our homes and different places, are we in position to gauge the iron content that we consume? And these are very serious, and this can be hazardous. It can bring in any waterborne diseases. So these are issues that we have to look at it critically. Because of the shortage of water, the demand the Norway cannot provide, people dig boreholes indiscriminately anywhere. It's not only the iron content, but also there are instances where we have nitrate content. These are all problems. And even if you look at it, are we also meeting in terms of chlorinating them? So that is why the issue of the water policy is very timely. I want to encourage you, the bold decision you took to bring this thing, to make sure that you also bring in the water bill. It's important so that this issue can be addressed, because it's affecting the life and livelihood of the Gambians. The other aspect I want to emphasize has been re-emphasized by others, the aspect of monitoring, which is very, very key here. So I know, like, the one thing to solve all these problems, seriously work on the domestication aspect. Other than that, I give my full blessing to this document, and I'm very much happy. And I want to thank you, even you are Drame Kundanga, bringing this on board. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Honorable Member for Brikama South. I now give the floor to the member for Nyani to take part in the debate.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the floor. I first of all want to seize this opportunity to thank the Honorable Minister for coming up with these conventions, which is taking a right step in the right direction. Looking at the first convention, that is on the law of non-navigational use of international watercourses, they have 2 articles, up to 3 articles that I want to discuss here, but the first article has already been discussed by the Honorable Member for Kansala. In order to save time, I will just move to Article 20 and Article 23. Now, looking at the convention, Article 20 and that of Article 23 of the convention, which states, water states shall individually and where appropriate jointly protect and preserve. If you look at the country, the Gambia in which we live, we are surrounded by Senegal in all the sides. So I feel it is very, very important for us to join or to give our blessing to this convention in order for it to be ratified. Because when it comes to the preservation of the water and also in the protection of the water, we will definitely need joint forces in order to protect and preserve our ecosystem and the marine environment within the international water courses. If you also look at the convention, because of the location, the Gambia must be ready to accept it with other nations to protect and preserve our marines and also our sea-bedded products. So therefore, I urge my fellow NAMs or this August Assembly for us to give our full blessing to this convention. Looking at the second convention, that is the Convention on the Protection and Use of Transboundary Water and International Lakes. Looking at the objective of the convention, it is well clear and also a very, very good objective. As you can see, the purpose of this convention is to protect and ensure the quantity and quality and equitable and sustainable use of transboundary water resources by facilitating cooperation. We definitely need the cooperation in order for these things to be ratified. Now, looking at the merits of the convention and why the Gambia should ratify it. The first one is the issue of monitoring, which has already been highlighted by the NAM for Brikama South. I will just skip that one in order to save time. The other one is to make cooperation on climate change adoption, as most of these climate hazards or climate impacts comes through the water cycle. And looking at this water cycle, it subsequently affects our agricultural sector and also our energy. So therefore, there is a need for this convention to be ratified. The convention also will help to prevent the negative impacts of unilateral adoption measures and maximize the benefits of cooperation in both economic, social, environmental, and political as well, which will foster develop for the Gambia the prevent and also conflict consolidated peace. If this convention is ratified, it means it will help to prevent conflicts within these water boundaries, and that will also consolidate peace. It will also make adoption more efficient and prevent negative impacts from unilateral measures when the convention is ratified in this August Assembly. It can also reduce sectoral trade-offs and conflicts. There are a lot of conflicts when it comes to water issues. So if this convention is ratified, it means that all those conflicts will be minimized or there will be no conflict at the end of the day. So therefore, Honorable Speaker, I join my other colleagues to give my blessing to this convention for it to be ratified in this assembly. I beg to move.
Thank you. Now the member for Olindo.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. At some point, I think I wanted to withdraw my participation in the debate for the fact that most of the speakers have said exactly what all of us would be saying with regards to the convention. Even if you don't have, sufficient background on what is written in the convention, when you read the text, you realize that the ministry have done a very good job, and those responsible for the convention have already done a very good job. There is no provision in this convention that is giving you a confusion with regards to what we're going to ratify. Perhaps for regional comparison, I just wanted to ask the minister, because when Gambia ratified this convention, you also expect to have partnership with other countries around the sub-region, which is also very important. Maybe the minister can tell us, so far, when the convention has already been, circulated, how many countries within Africa have already signed that Gambia can also join. We will want to know that. That is going to be an important part for us. Other than that, Honorable Speaker, I think what the members said, all of us together, I think we are convinced. I am convinced, and I know most of my colleagues are also convinced with the convention. To give the blessings that it deserves as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I now recognize the member for Joswan.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I think I also join my colleagues to say a very big thank you to the Honorable Minister. He's my dad. I'm not been very fair to, let it go without saying something on this, because this concerns me very well, as everybody knows. So thank you very much for coming up with this. And with your team, it was what am I withdrawing? With your team, it was a job well done. My only concern here is on the boundary aspect of it. Yes, it's very key and very vital here. I think we all know there are issues that normally comes when it comes to boundary issues, especially on our river line and on our water boundary areas. My serial people per se are always complaining that today we are unlucky to be apprehended within our own Gambian boundaries because of what illegal fishing. So this convention will surely help. And I'm also appealing to you how best you can work with our neighbor country, that's to clearly demarcate where our boundaries are, so that at least these issues will never happen. Because the more it's happening, the more conflict is expected. And the more it is expected, at the end of the day, it becomes two countries. So as are our neighboring countries, and we are trying to rectify something, trying to bring in something that can bring in a coded relationship, that will bring in a relationship that can be seen tomorrow. I think it's important we know where our lines are, where should we stop, where should we engage our people. If this thing happen, then there will be no complaint. But at the time we do a lot of complaints from our people to say that our boundaries need to be clearly demarcated to know where we are. I think I don't have much to say. I'm giving my blessing into this, but I'm definitely seeking for your support and approval on this. Thank you very much. Boy.
Thank you. Member for Kiang West.
Honorable Speaker, thank you very much. I just have one or two observations on the convention that I would love to look at. The first one is I want to look at amendments to the convention. And it says any party may propose amendments to this convention. That's one. Amendment is Article 21. That's what I'm looking at. And it says proposals of amendments to this convention shall be considered at a meeting of the parties. And it also says 3, it says the text of any proposed amendments of this convention shall be submitted in writing to the Executive Secretary of the Economic Commission for Europe. I don't understand that. Economic Commission for Europe. So I want to ask, are we a party to Economic Commission for Europe, or is Economic Commission for Europe is international organizations that Article 23 is talking about? I could refer you to Article 23 because that has tried to highlight some of the international conventions. But why the Economic Commission for Europe? Are we a party to that commission? Okay. It says who shall communicate it to the parties at latest 90 days before the meeting at which it is proposed for adoption.
Honorable Member?
Yes.
Which of the convention are you reading?
The Convention on the Protection and Use of Transboundary Water Sources and International Lakes. That's what I'm looking at.
Thank you.
Good. So I have asked that question. And entry into force. But before I go to entry into force, I want to look at the withdrawal also to this convention. It says at any time after 3 years, at any time after 3 years, after 3 years from the date on which this convention has come into force with the respect to a party, that party may withdraw from the convention by giving written notification to the depository. And it has also said that the depository would be the Secretary General of the United Nations. But the written notice would be given to that in case for withdrawal after 3 years. But in case for an amendment, any parties that proposed an amendment, that amendment would be submitted to the Economic Commission of Europe. I want to be clear with this. But I understand Article 3, Article 23, when you read entry into force, before I go back to Article 23, let me go to entry into force, which is Article 26. That says, this convention shall enter into force on the 19th day after the date of deposit of the 16th instrument of ratification, acceptance, approval, and or accession. So when you get to 3 of Article 26, it says, for each state or organization referred to in Article 23 which ratifies, accepts, or approves this convention, or accedes thereto after the deposit of the 16th instrument of ratification, acceptance, approval, or accession, the convention shall enter into force on the 19th day after the date of deposit by the such state or organization of which instrument of ratification, acceptance, approval, or accession. So I want to ask, are we part of any of those organizations mentioned in Article 23? Article 23 talks about following organizations. It says, this convention shall be open for signatures at Helsinki from 17th to 18th March 1992, inclusive, and thereafter at United Nations headquarters in New York until 18th September 1992, by state members of the Economic Commission for Europe, as well as states having consultative status with the Economic Commission for Europe pursuant to paragraph 8 of Economic and Social Council resolutions. Resolution 36, this Roman figure, can somebody help me? This Roman figure and Roman figure 4 of 28 March 1947 by the Regional Economic Integrational Organization constituted by sovereign state members of the Economic Commission of Europe, to which their member states have transferred competence over matters governed by the convention, including the competence to enter into treaties in respect of these matters. I don't understand much about this. It is talking about organizations, so I don't know if we have any relation with these organizations that are highlighted here, and if those organizations are already a party to this convention. And the first two questions that I have asked, if you propose an amendment, that amendment would be submitted to the Economic Commission for Europe. But if you want to withdraw 3 years after your approval or your ratification of this convention, that would be submitted to this depository. And I understand the depository to this convention is the Secretary General of the United Nations. Honorable Speaker, these are the few issues that I want clarifications on. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Member. I'm sure the Honorable Minister will note that down, and as well as page 12. I understand the Secretariat is the European, the Commission that he mentioned, maybe it has been replaced by the European Union. That is why. As well as page 13, he highlighted that is signatory. Most of the time we sign before we ratify, so you can respond to those issues. Thank you. The member for Fonyi Jarol.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the floor. And then I just only have few concerns to raise here. You know, we talk of international treaties and conventions. And then what it's all about is about equity, protection, and then fairness. Under that, the previous speakers have mentioned here the word, I think the document is timely to be here. Why is it timely? Because of the challenges that foreign nations or countries called developing countries are going through. Countries often lack the willpower and the resources on maritime laws to protect it. And then if you look at what is happening to our seas or international waters, those polluting it are the bigger nations. We put the laws, we say we are equal, we say we're going to be treated fairly, but at the end, it is the developing nations that continue to suffer. And these are the resources or the waters that we depend for food and the transportation of goods. And that leaders need to be bold enough or to make sure they come out to step up, to defend what they believe is what is good for all of us. Not to bring laws that is there to bully developing countries or smaller nations. Because every bill that is coming here, we continue saying it is timely, it is timely. Why do we continue saying it is timely? Because we pay a heavy price for it. That's why we continue saying it's timely. But at the end, it's not benefiting us. This is why monitoring is very important in terms of what we are discussing here. This is our sea, this is our water, where we depend For everything I can say, food, even to drink, even for our health, transportation of goods. Bigger nations will violate the laws, nothing happens to them. Smaller nations, when you violate, you suffer for it or you pay for it. I think this is what is more important, Honorable Minister, and then that's the concern that I have to raise. Let it not come here, we start saying it's timely. We are saying timely because we are paying a heavy price for it. So when we say it's timely and here, we mean that when the document is passed and we have amended, it must benefit all nations. All must be equal. So it's not others suffer for it while others enjoy. Time has come, we are in the 21st century, when everything that comes should be based on equality, fairness, but not for other smaller nations to always suffer on behalf of bigger nations. Because even the air pollution or the sea pollution that is going, it's not the poorer nations that are causing it, but we are the ones paying the heaviest price. So my concern here is let's bring in laws that when we say yes, benefit everyone, whether you are a developing country or not a developing country. That's what my concern is.
Thank you. Thank you very much. May I now call upon the Honorable Minister to respond to issues raised and to wind up the debate.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I will thank all the members who took the floor, and even those who did not speak. I know they are all in support of this convention. Like they said, it is very long overdue. I'd like to remind the member for Brikama North. He's very right, it's very well overdue, but I also want to remind him that he went through cabinet only in 2022, January. So that might have been the reason for it coming too late to the National Assembly. So many issues were raised of concern as far as the conventions are concerned. And I want to assure all the members that these are also concerns we share with them. And after ratifications, the experts in the ministry will look at it again and see if during the implementation process, like it is proposed, if there are amendments, it should be deposited at the European Commission, to Europe. It was started in Europe, and it was only in 2016 that they decided to make it worldwide. And some of the concerns that are raised by the member for Kiang West, I think these are matter of procedural issues. Let us be part of the global world, and if we feel as a nation there are certain things that are not implementable in our country and we want to do propose some amendments, then we have to be part of it first so that we can propose those amendments. My elder brother, the member for Congo South, mentioned that it is the only region that we have these fishing landing sites. He also highlighted the need for the monitoring of the activities on that coastal line. Yes, it is very true. The ministry is aware, but I like to assure him and other concerns that were raised that currently the ministry is going through a lot of reforms, plus the departments under the ministry, and as soon as those things are done, we will be able to increase the level of our research, monitoring, and sometimes policy enhancement. The member for Brikama South did mention the localization of the convention. Yes, this is true, and I like to assure them that currently at the ministry, the water policy and the water bill are ready for submission to cabinet, and hopefully before next parliament, we will be able to go through those things and then submit them for approval before this August body. Members have made my my work very easy for me. Although these documents are very technical, and I can assure you that at the level of the ministry, we are looking at every aspect of your concerns raised here. I think the member for Fonyi Jarol mentioned that we should also look at the boundaries. Yes, like I said, hopefully the manpower level at the ministry and the departments is what is lacking. But as soon as we go through the reforms, we will be able to see if we have to create some new provisions to be able to achieve some of those the issues that have been raised here. Last month, I attended a meeting in Agadir on fisheries when I did consult the Minister of Agriculture and Fisheries in Morocco. They are very much advanced in the sector and also very experienced. And they are willing to assist in terms of training, in terms of research, and in terms of monitoring. And their initial reaction is they are even willing to be able to assist us in the research because they are very much advanced in that area. And also, I attended recently a meeting of the Sub-Regional Fisheries Commission of West Africa. That is Senegal, Gambia, Mauritania, Guinea-Bissau, Sierra Leone, and the Republic of Guinea. And some of these issues that have been highlighted here were the issues raised there and agreed upon that we should have within our sub-region. There has to be information sharing, monitoring and research that we have to conduct together because we all share the same stock. So whether it is water and fisheries. So therefore, Mr. Speaker, I think all the concerns that have been raised here are already issues that have been undertaken by the ministry. And as soon as we go through those reforms, we will be informing the House as to what areas we need the assistance of this National Assembly. And also the Kiang West, also, I think he asked the countries that have already ratified this convention. Is that not so? All you do. I want to tell the House that it's Chad, Senegal, Guinea-Bissau, Togo, Cameroon. Recently, Nigeria has done it, and Ghana, and other 15 countries in Africa, and accession process. And I'm sure by this time, we are all attending the water conference in New York. By the 21st of this month, hopefully all the other 15 countries that are outstanding would have ratified the convention before their presence there. So by and large, I think these are the issues I remember that has been said unless I left out something, I'll be able to address it. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Minister, for tabling these two motions, and I want to thank all the honorable members, those who participated and those who don't, and we are in agreement with those who contributed on behalf of all of us. Thank you very much, honorable members. Be it resolved that this honorable assembly do ratify the Convention on the Law of the Non-Navigational Uses of International Watercourses 1997 Watercourses Convention and the Convention on the Protection and Use of Transboundary Watercourses and International Lakes done in Helsinki, 17 March 1992. Those in favor, please say aye. Those not in favor, please say no. The ayes have it. Honorable members, be resolved that this August Assembly do stand adjourned until Monday, 28th March 2023 at 10 a.m. Those in favor, please say aye. Those not in favor, please say no. The ayes have it. This assembly now stands adjourned until Monday, 28 March 2023 at 10 a.m. prompt.